Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy keto bread recipe for you. As you all know, I'm always trying to find ways to improve my recipes and make them taste better than they already do. And I do this especially with my bread recipes because I know one of the biggest things that low carb dieters miss is bread. And so I am constantly trying to improve my bread recipes to make them as close as you can to that traditional bread taste and feel. So today I have an updated version of my sesame hamburger buns. And so if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janet'sdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out new videos. And if you are a music lover, make sure you check out the link in the description to my other YouTube channel, Inspirational Songs with Janet. I've recorded another new song there, so make sure you check that out and subscribe to that channel also. And if you would like to help support this channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So while you do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Lightly grease 5 4-inch round silicone bun molds. If you don't have any bun molds, then you can just line a large baking sheet with parchment paper or a silicone mat. Then set your pans aside for a minute. In a large mixing bowl, combine 114 grams or around 1 cup of coconut flour, 12 grams or around 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a half teaspoon of salt, 8 grams or around 1 tablespoon of psyllium husk powder. If you want to, you can add some dry yeast or dry spices, dried herbs, whatever, anything to add a bit of flavor to your hamburger buns. I'm just adding 1 teaspoon of onion powder just to give a little onion hint to my hamburger buns. Sift everything together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. Add 4 large room temperature eggs. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until all the dry ingredients are moist. Add 174 milliliters or around 3/4 cup of olive oil and 80 milliliters or around 1/3 cup of warm water. Make sure this is warm. You do not want this boiling hot, but it does need to be warm. Think of very warm bath water. You have to have that heat so that it can soften the psyllium husk powder and create a nice soft texture in your bread. Stir everything together for about 1 minute or until everything is fully combined and a dough begins to form. When you first start stirring this is going to be very wet. It's going to look kind of soupy-ish, but just keep stirring it and in about a minute or so, a dough will start to form. After about a minute, scrape down the sides of the bowl and push the dough to the center of your bowl. It's still going to be very moist, but you should be able to handle it without it running down your fingers. Knead the dough in the bowl for about 1 more minute or until it's smooth and you're able to form it into a smooth ball. After kneading it for a minute, it's still going to be very moist. So let the dough sit in the bowl at room temperature for about 15 minutes so the excess liquids can be absorbed. After about 15 minutes, the dough still will be lightly moist, but it should be firm enough for you to pick it up and hold it and shape it. If you're using the silicone molds like I am, then place the silicone molds on a baking sheet. It just makes it a lot easier to take it in and out of the oven. If you're just using the baking sheet method, you don't have to worry about that. Divide your dough evenly between your prepared silicone molds, or if you're not using the molds, then divide the dough into 5 equal portions and place them on your prepared baking sheet. Roll each portion into a smooth ball and place it back in your silicone molds or on your baking sheet. Make sure the ball is smooth with no cracks. Use the palm of your hand and lightly flatten the top of each one of the dough balls to form a bun-type shape. These rise a little bit, but they don't rise or expand very much. So for the most part, whatever shape and size you press these out to, that's pretty much what they're going to be once they're done baking. When I press mine out, I like to curve my hand a little bit so that it creates a little bit of a slight dome on the top of the bun so you don't have a completely flat hamburger bun. If you're using the baking sheet and not the silicone molds, make sure that you leave space in between each one of the buns so you can have an even cook all the way around the edges. If you're like me and you want a little bit of a slightly darker, slightly crusty top on your hamburger buns, then whisk together 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of water until it's fully combined to create an egg wash. Then lightly brush the egg wash over the tops of the buns. You just want a light layer. You don't want it drenched, just enough to cover the top. If you want to, you can sprinkle some sesame seeds or some toppings of your choice over the top of the buns. You don't have to. You can leave them plain. But normally I would do sesame seeds, but I just realized I'm out of sesame seeds, so I'm using my trusty everything bagel seasoning to top on this. If you do add any topping, once you sprinkle the topping on, you use the back of a spoon and just lightly tap the topping into the top of the buns. That way it doesn't get loose and fall off. Place the buns in your preheated oven, bake at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes or until the buns are golden and a tester comes out clean. Once the buns are done baking, remove them from the oven. Allow them to cool in the molds for about 20 to 30 minutes or until the buns are firm. After about 20 to 30 minutes and the buns are firm, remove them from your molds or the baking sheet, whichever one you're using. Transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool completely before slicing them. Once you're ready to use the buns, turn the buns on their side and cut them in half to create a top and bottom portion. You can eat these plain or you can fill them with the filling of your choice. I am using them for my low-carb sloppy joes, which I will be putting that recipe out probably within the next couple days or so.
Alright guys, I apologize that I do not have a taste test for this bread. I used it the day after I made it for my homemade sloppy joes, and by the time I realized that I hadn't actually done a taste test for you guys of the bread, by then it was in my belly. But I will say it was very tasty. The hamburger buns were great. They held up great with the sloppy joes. And when I cut them open, when I was ready to use them, they did not have any type of a wet feel that I've told you guys before that sometimes baked goods that have xanthan gum or psyllium husk powder can have a little bit of a dampness in them. They did not have any dampness in them. They had, hopefully you can see by this picture maybe, if you see, they had a nice little crumb, a nice texture to them. They were soft without being crumbly, and they stored very nicely without getting all funky the next day. So I apologize. You couldn't actually see me physically eat it, but I will tell you they were a thumbs up. Alrighty, alrighty.
You can eat these immediately. If you do have any leftovers, store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 3 days, or store them in a freezer-safe container and freeze them for up to 1 month. If you do choose to freeze them, make sure you cut them in half to create your top and bottom portion before you freeze them. Eat and enjoy.
And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.